Hi, this is Hamsika, and welcome to Stories with Swansea Presents The Real Deal, where we discuss and dissect everyday situations that influence and shape our lives. Whether it's the unspoken impacts of generational trauma, challenging the expectations of society, or exploring practical ways to bring more peace, balance, and joy into our daily existence. We share stories and lived experiences that are raw, heartfelt, and will leave you with questions. So, if you're looking for a podcast that feels like chatting with a friend about the real, relatable parts of life, you have come to the right place. Let's cut through the noise and get straight to the matter with no filters and sugarcoating. Because this isn't a fictional deal, it is the real deal. Hello, guys, welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about having open conversations around stigma topics. This is actually like a universal thing, right? Like, generally speaking, so many people from so many different cultures um, have a similar issue. Like, there's a lot of stigma everywhere in the world around a lot of topics. Historically, a lot of people didn't discuss about certain things, and then it just got carried on and on for so many generations that no one questioned why we cannot talk about so and so. And slowly, when start people started questioning, that's when a lot of reformation started happening. A lot of conversations around it started happening. The research started happening, and that's how today we are sitting here and we have started discussing so much about these stigma topics. So I wanted to touch base on a few things that I found had a lot of stigma around it while I was growing up, and probably like till date, a lot of people don't talk about it. Like the main thing that I felt was the discussion about mental health. A lot of people till date they don't even understand the concept of it because they have never seen someone suffer because of it. They have never undergone it themselves, and they don't even want to learn what exactly it is. They just want to, like, live in the assumption that they have that anything to do with like mental health condition or a disease or whatever it is, it's more to do with you being mad and you getting admitted in a mental hospital. That's all it's. And the movies projected the same back, especially because I grew up watching Indian movies mostly. The way they used to project anything related to mental health was like going and getting admitted in the Nimhans. Like you have to go and get admitted in that particular hospital because you're a mad person, you're a crazy person. If you're not mentally fine, that means you're going to go and kill somebody. The amount of stereotypical representation it became. So I guess like the people who are actually going through something had so many inhibitions, whether or not they have to express what they're going through, whether they have to share with other people what they are going through. And I find the same, like when I moved here in all these years, I find it's kind of similar situation here as well, but of course not to that scale back home, like mainly because of the population. But a lot of people here as well, they have stigma around this whole mental health thing, but it is 100% better than how the situation was back when I was growing up. The next topic that has a lot of stigma connected to it is the topic of periods, women going through menstrual cycle. Oh my god, half the people don't even discuss this whole thing. Like when I was growing up, and for some reason even like till date there are so many homes I where I live, and some of them I as well know that like girls don't discuss these things in front of their fathers, their brothers, their cousins, or even friends. There's so much stigma around it. It's like, oh my god, how can I talk about this in front of a man? I was the same. We were all the same growing up. We would never go and discuss any of these things. Our mothers were the same. Our grandmothers were the same. This is like a generational thing. The amount of pain, the amount of you know what do I say, the physical sometimes it's a torture that the body goes through. And you have to go through this every single month until a certain age. Imagine you losing so much blood from your body every single month. You know how exhausting and tiring it is? And we are not even allowed to express how we feel. Why? Because there is a stigma around it. Who talks about this? No way. We were not even calling this thing as periods. We were not, openly discussing that, we are on our periods. We would say chums. I don't know where that word even came from, but we used to call it chums. I don't know what it means. I don't know who even invented this word. It's like that much stigma. And if you have to go buy your sanitary pads, that's like a next level task. For me, Amma used to go and buy it for the both of us. I never went until a certain age. I started going only, after I moved out of the house. And the way people look at you when you go and ask for it, it's just so weird. Like, I was, that time I never understood, like, because even I thought, okay, maybe there is a stigma and I shouldn't question, like, why there is a stigma or can it be, like, changed? It's, how it is. So, our great grandparents followed whatever their parents did. They passed on the same thing. No questions asked. Our grandfathers and grandmothers did the same thing. No questions asked. Our parents did the same thing. No questions asked. We did the same thing. No questions asked. But there comes a point where you will be like, but why? Why can't I just have a normal conversation? Why can't I just go buy my sanitary needs without anyone shaming me for it? Now things, of course, have changed, but there are a lot of places where this is still a stigma everywhere around the world. There's so much period poverty in Australia as well. There are so many wonderful organizations which, provide all the sanitary needs to young girls. Be it any country, there are so many stigmas around like these general topics. Now I am very open about the conversations that I have, whether if it's a man, a woman, a boy, a girl, it doesn't matter what the gender is. If I have to say I'm on my periods, I'm going to say I'm on my periods. I'm not saying I'm on my chumps. And back then, no one could, use the word sex. You cannot say anything about sex. It's like vulgar. It's like, what is wrong with you? Who talks about all these things? And the irony is, we have a billion population. Everyone knows what happens. No one wants to talk about it. No one wants to have an open conversation about it. It is so important to talk about safe sex with a lot of kids growing up. They need to be educated about this whole thing. But as I said, things definitely have changed now, but a majority of them still are in the same zone where they don't speak about any of these things. It's just a shame, honestly, to have these open conversations, to create that safe space for your kids to come to you and discuss whatever they are going through or whatever knowledge they want to gain is so crucial. If you're not educated about it, you wouldn't even know what might happen with you if you go sleep with someone. Not everyone is like street smart to understand everything. Not everyone would do their whatever Google research to find out. There are so many innocent people, so many innocent people. So it becomes the responsibility whether you have a boy or a girl. It doesn't matter. All that matters is how much conversations you have with them regarding all these stigma topics. They shouldn't feel ashamed to talk about it. There are so many wonderful posts where I have seen um, like men saying that they went and purchased the sanitary pads for their classmates, for girls, like when their sisters or when their cousins go through the menstrual cycle every month. They sit there, they provide them a hot water bag, they make them feel good, they help them, they give them like a foot massage or something. There are wonderful men out there who do all these things for women. Then there are a section of women who actually don't encourage you discussing this with men. It's not just men shaming women all the time, it's women shaming women all the time too. Why do we do this? I don't know. And going back to the topic of sex where you cannot talk about it, even when writing in a chat, or if you like have, if there are some headlines, sometimes they have S and XX. You can't even write the word, like, but why? And these are all the questions that I'm asking now. Did I ask it back then? No, I didn't. I was just following whatever I was told. I never asked questions. And I know so many of the people are just like how I was. I have learned from my mistake and now I'm questioning things and I'm being open about it. I can openly discuss any of these things with anybody regardless of their gender. When you make it like look and sound like normal, that's when it feels like you're normalizing it. And these conversations should be normalized. You have to discuss it openly. If you're already doing this with your kids, then amazing, hats off. But if not, I would highly suggest doing this. I know a few kids who are teenagers, and I've had conversations with them. And like when they're struggling to talk about it, when they suddenly you start whispering when you're talking about periods or sex, your voice, and I'm like, why? Because they have seen their parents do the same. So it's a generational thing that gets passed on and on. And someone somewhere in some generation has to, stop doing whatever you're asked to blindly and then start questioning. I am so glad I have started questioning now because I'm getting a better understanding of things. And I know if I have to follow this or not. I'm not following just because everyone else before my generation followed. And I know there are a lot of stigma around uh, naming your certain body parts. Like not many people, including me, don't take the names because you're like, oh my god, how do I say this? But end of the day, we have to understand that it's a body part. Just like your hands, legs, or whatever, that body part also has a name. And you just have to take it by the name and not like, initialing it with V, P, B, and all this stuff. A vagina, it's a vagina. If it's a penis, it's a penis. If it's like a boobs, breast, or whatever it is that is what it is. It's not the initials. These are all, like small examples of topics that have stigma. When you can have all these conversations in an open environment within your family where you feel, safe, that's how you start opening up to your parents about whatever you go through. There are some amazing moms out there who I know have these open conversations. So they've kept, everything crystal clear between them and the kids. They talk about anything and everything. If the girl is planning to go on a date with the boy, she says it openly to her mom and then she leaves the house. If the son is like going out for a drinks party or whatever with his friends, he is going to say the same thing to his mom and then leave the house. You don't look for excuses to hide whatever you are doing. Build that trust of having the kids open up to you. It is so important to give them that space, to be open with them, to discuss everything openly. Then you don't have to worry about kids lying behind your back and then, sneaking out of the house. Wherever they go, whatever they do, they inform you and they go. I was a very overprotective kid. The society that I grew up in had a lot of things going for like a girl child and a boy child. So for me, I grew up only in fear. Having these open conversations is not just in relationship with, parents and kids. It can also be with your friends. It can also be with your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, partner, anybody. Even if that means you're having an open conversation with your colleague, your manager, it's just nice and clear. You don't have to remember what reason you gave anyone because you're talking about things openly. You're not hiding anything. First and foremost thing for me that needs to be done, to set up that safe space is to have a discussion regardless of who it is with. Like an open discussion, an eye to eye contact, and just say that you're going to be there for the person regardless of what, and just discuss what is going on in their mind if they have been hurt by any of your actions. You can tell them if you have been hurt by any of their actions. Then have that, proper discussion. Whether or not you come to a conclusion, whether or not there is an agreement, whether or not there is a pact, at least end of the day, you have taken out whatever was in your heart. The other person has taken out whatever was in their heart. The discussion has happened. It really matters so much. And um, In one of the previous episodes, I might have mentioned that the amount of regret and guilt I have is a lot with respect to a lot of things. And this is one such thing. I have regretted so much why I didn't have open conversations with this person and tell them whatever they're doing is hurting me so much, and ask them if I have done anything wrong and is there a reason why they're behaving the way they're behaving, or what is the problem? Why don't they like me? And in other instances, I so wish I had an open conversation with some of the scenarios that happened during my school days. In every stage of life, I could have had a lot of open conversations, which probably, might have helped me, which wouldn't have pushed me to that extreme that actually happened. So these are all the lessons that I've learned, and these are all the lessons that I'm trying to, bring it as a topic on my podcast. That's the thing. You cannot have like a very big discussion about this whole thing. It's just that it has to touch one nerve. It has to touch that thinking nerve to anyone listening to this as to, is this something that I can try? Is this something that has happened to me? Is this why maybe something went wrong? Or is this why maybe something is not fixed yet? That is my intention. It just makes it like a lot more easier when there are no filters, when there are no masks. Otherwise, we all of us humans have a mask that we wear, regardless of how much ever someone says, I'm straightforward, I'm this, I'm that. There is a mask that you always put. You know what you're doing, whether it's right, whether it's wrong. The only one who knows what's going on in your mind and heart. We always have a mask on. That is something that no one can change. But the filters that we add, or the additional masks that we put because we cannot have an open conversation, that is what has to be removed. So if this conversation has made you like think a little about having open conversations, then do let me know in the comments. Or if you have like already have that established open conversation relationship with your family, with your partner, with whoever is dear to you, then I would love to know as well. I would love to know what steps you actually took um to bring this thing into practice, because it's not easy for someone who's an introvert. It's very difficult to open up and have an open conversation, and I totally get it. This is not something that you get overnight. This is something that you have to um you know put it into practice and turn it into a habit. No way it can happen overnight. Impossible, especially for people who are very shy about expressing what they feel, who are so introverted and don't feel like expressing like anything. For them, it's even more harder to open up. I have always been a very um, ambivert kind of a personality. Like I'm neither an introvert nor an extrovert. It depends on who I'm with. I can be extremely quiet and not talk to anybody, or I can just keep talking and not stop. So let me know what you think of today's topic and how you think things can be put into practice. I will meet you all again in the next episode. Until then, thank you. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. It truly means a lot to me to know that there are supportive listeners out there who appreciate the sharing of relatable thoughts and experiences. If you liked and related to what you listened to today, let me know in the comments. And also, please support by following, rating, and sharing the podcast on Spotify and YouTube. The related links are all in the description. Let's have a chat again next week. Until then, please make sure to take care of yourself so you can take care of others.